Lies in Crimson. Einstein.
What a point from Pegula. Swiatek did slip, mind.
Remarkable third ace once again.
Unforced error from Iga Swiatek at 19th of the set. And it's Jess Pegula, the top seed, who is in charge of the final. Solid, consistent. Pegula takes the opener 6-4 in 49 minutes. Previous quarter-finalists 2 years ago. Batters away the forehands. Much better this time around. Yeah, way more assertive from Swiatek.
Trying to send her a message. Do it again.
That is amazing.
Wow. At the moment of this match, give yourself a bit more margin.
Well, off the net, but much needed. It's Pegula's time in Bad Hong. Demonstrates her top-tier status once again by taking out the former world number one. Swiatek beaten in a first grass court final. Pegula lands title number 3 of 2025. What a performance. Unbroken throughout the final. Dominant serve, straight sets, 6-4, 7-5.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we start, I need you to shut your eyes briefly. Envision the majestic city of eternal Rome, those ancient Colosseum stones, the whispered tales of Caesars and warriors floating on that warm Mediterranean air. Now imagine a contemporary arena carved directly into that timeless metropolis, the Foro Italico, a stadium where the ground becomes artillery, a surface crafted from pulverized crimson brick, transformed into fine, almost holy powder. And within that powder dwells a beast, not some mythical entity lurking in shadows or hiding in underground tunnels beneath the streets, but standing boldly under blazing Italian sunlight, sporting a white cap pulled down over piercing eyes, clutching a tennis racket with ferocity that could shatter marble, waiting to completely and methodically demolish the physical and mental fortitude of anyone bold enough to cross those white boundaries. For countless seasons, the entire tennis universe has recognized this beast precisely. Iga Swiatek, the unquestioned, fearsome, almost divine empress of clay, the athlete who navigates this surface not through mere running, but through elegant gliding, sliding with supernatural poise as though the terrain was scientifically designed in some hidden facility exclusively for her movement patterns. She represents the ultimate challenge, the opponent you pray to avoid, the name that creates terror in every competitor's mind throughout the facility. Yet examine today's quarterfinal bracket at the Internazionale BNL d'Italia closely, and you'll discover something so shocking, so fundamentally wrong that it resembles a reality malfunction. You'll observe a number 4 beside her name. Swiatek holds the 4th seeding. 4th and standing directly opposite, mirroring that quiet intensity, the 5th seed, the American strategist, the composed problem solver, the competitor who treats professional tennis with the calculated precision of a tech executive, Jessica Pegula. Halt everything immediately. This isn't exaggeration. Don't allow rankings to mislead you. Don't let the American's serene, almost unsettling composure trick you into believing this represents merely another tennis encounter, another stepping stone toward a weekend championship. What's approaching on center court constitutes an epic, high-stakes clash between completely contrasting tennis ideologies, a battle pitting artistry against science, raw force versus methodical accuracy, potentially rewriting the entire narrative, destroying the 2024 season script mere weeks before the ultimate clay court reckoning at Roland Garros. Understanding this quarterfinal's overwhelming significance, truly grasping how the sport's foundation shifts beneath us, requires comprehending the profound psychological offense and corresponding nuclear threat of Swiatek entering a premier clay tournament ranked 4th. This transcends statistics, it's a war declaration. She previously dominated as untouchable world number 1. Her supremacy wasn't merely about points, but represented a fear-inducing epoch. She didn't simply win clay matches, she delivered beatdowns, distributed bagels and breadsticks, claiming set 6-0, 6-1 with merciless efficiency that felt deliberately personal. She embodied tennis's ultimate final boss, the inevitable conclusion wherever she competed. The ranking system's cold mathematical formulas, now audaciously placing 3 women above her, isn't just data, it's violent provocation, challenging her core identity. And here's the frightening reality about champions of her magnitude. When you trap an apex predator, when you question an elite champion's absolute dominance on her preferred surface, she doesn't withdraw or doubt herself, she becomes infinitely more lethal. Swiatek arrives in Rome not merely to win but to punish, carrying a chilling point to prove, wanting to remind the locker room, media, fans, and especially herself that regardless of computer rankings, when courts feature that red Italian clay, she remains the absolute, undisputed, eternal sovereign of this tennis realm. She seeks to leave complete devastation in her path, not just winning points, but breaking spirits, watching hope vanish from opponents' expressions. However, and this represents the most captivating aspect currently in tennis, if any single player exists who's completely immune to Swiatek's intimidating presence, who observes the monster and sees only problems requiring solutions, it's Jessica Pegula. Pegula never panics, never gets overwhelmed by stages, crowds, or opponent pedigree. She possesses a disturbingly calm, almost mechanical psychological foundation, serving as her greatest asset. She's the ultimate working-class billionaire, an heiress who inexplicably approaches tennis with gritty determination, carrying herself not with inherited entitlement, but with quiet, focused resolve of someone who's earned every victory. She treats tennis matches not as emotional battlefields, but as complex mathematical problems requiring proper formulas. She's faced Swiatek numerous times previously, stood within the hurricane's eye, absorbed the heaviest, most violent topspin shots the Polish star delivers, blows that have destroyed Grand Slam champions' confidence, and she hasn't wavered. She's defeated her on massive stages, stared down the dragon and emerged victorious. Pegula understands with unsettling certainty exactly what dragon slaying requires, and she's approaching center court today, not with hope, but with blueprints, a meticulously crafted, ice-cold tactical strategy designed to slowly, methodically, relentlessly suffocate the 4-time French Open champion. Let's conduct deep forensic analysis of the biomechanical and tactical warfare about to dictate every point. Defeating Swiatek on clay demands abandoning normal tennis. It's suicide attempting traditional heavy topspin baseline exchanges from 8 feet behind the line. You're signing your execution warrant, willingly entering her perfectly constructed torture chamber. Swiatek employs an extreme Western forehand grip, allowing violent upward brushing with whip-like wrist action, generating thousands of revolutions per minute of heavy kicking topspin, shots appearing destined to sail long, suspended eternally before gravity and physics conspire, making them dive bomb just inside baselines. When that spin-loaded ball strikes heavy Roman clay, it doesn't bounce, it explodes, detonating upward, violently kicking above opponents' shoulders with missile-like trajectory. Hitting tennis balls from above shoulder height with fully extended arms and compromised balance represents the sport's weakest, most unnatural biomechanical position, completely destroying players' kinetic chains, robbing power and control, forcing weak floating replies landing near service lines. And that's Swiatek's trap. The moment short balls leave opponents' rackets, Swiatek with predatory court sense springs forward, unleashing devastating flat laser-guided winners down lines, That's her suffocation method, her victory algorithm. Jessica Pegula's entire game, her complete tennis identity centers on one single-minded principle, avoiding that exact trap. Pegula's strategy represents tactical rebellion. She strikes balls incredibly flat, deceptively flat, never generating massive looping, aesthetically pleasing topspin. Her ground strokes aren't paintings but daggers, piercing air on low penetrating trajectories, barely clearing net tape, skidding on clay, staying low, denying Swiatek the height she craves. But her game's true genius isn't just how she hits balls, but when. Pegula possesses elite hand-eye coordination used executing tennis's most courageous tactic, refusing to retreat, while others back up 10-15 feet behind baselines waiting for Swiatek's heavy spin to drop into manageable zones. Pegula stubbornly, audaciously hugs baselines, defending like fortress guards, taking balls incredibly early, hitting beautifully on the rise, intercepting before clay works its dark magic, kicking balls above shoulders. Taking balls early, essentially volleying from baselines, Pegula robs Swiatek of her most precious commodity, time. Swiatek's massive, beautiful ground strokes require orchestration fractions, needing time for foot placement, executing massive shoulder turns, unleashing forehand whip cracks. Pegula denies that time, consistently executing her strategy, hitting flat deep lasers into corners, rushing the Polish star, jamming her, forcing back foot hitting, improvisation, reactive instead of proactive tennis, turning predators into prey. This quarterfinal's most critical, pressure-filled decisive battleground will be cross-court exchanges between Jessica Pegula's two-handed locked backhand and Swiatek's inside-out forehand. This is the match within the match where victors get crowned. Swiatek's game plan is simple and brutal, using heavy looping high-bouncing inside-out forehands to completely break down Pegula's backhand side, pinning her in corners, hitting forehand after forehand, each bouncing higher and heavier until Pegula's arm feels leaden, and she finally produces short balls. But Pegula's two-handed backhand represents women's tennis's most rock-solid, impenetrable shots, a compact, brilliantly efficient stroke acting like brick walls, masterpieces of technical simplicity. Pegula must use that backhand not just defensively but offensively, absorbing Swiatek's pace, then at first opportunities aggressively redirecting balls down lines, pulling triggers on tennis's most difficult shots, exposing vast open courts on Swiatek's backhand side. This is key. If Pegula gets trapped in passive cross-court backhand patterns, she loses. Physics oppose her. Heavy topspin will eventually wear down forearms, forcing short balls. Pegula must change rally directions. She must dictate. She must pull triggers first. She must play with calculated high-risk aggression slightly against her naturally conservative, consistent style. She must become the aggressor. We must also factor the third combatant in this arena. Extreme, grueling physical demands of this specific environment. Center court, at Foro Italico, is a gladiator amphitheater. A cauldron, Italian sun beats mercilessly, baking clay, making it dry, slick and fast. But as matches extend, as players' lungs burn and legs fill with lactic acid, as shadows creep across stadiums, conditions drastically shift. If courts are fast and dry, balls will fly through air, slightly favoring Jessica Pegula's flat penetrating strikes. Her shots will skid and stay low. But if humidity rises, if air gets thick and courts get heavy and slow, it becomes absolute slogs, physical torture chambers, overwhelmingly favoring Swiatek's supreme superhuman conditioning. Swiatek is famous for outlasting absolutely anyone. She doesn't tire. Her aerobic capacity is legendary. Her footwork, her incredible sliding ability on both sides allows retrieving drop shots and wide angles that would be clean winners against 99% of the tour. She can play 5 hours looking like she just finished light warm-ups. Pegula knows this. She knows she cannot win 3-hour lung-busting marathon slugfests. You cannot challenge marathon runners to marathons. Pegula must be ruthlessly efficient, surgical, hitting spots, protecting serves with her life, finding ways to finish points under 6 shots. Every long rally represents small victories for Swiatek. Serve and return dynamics will be brutal, nerve-shredding affairs from the very first point. Swiatek doesn't possess the tour's fastest serve but wields highly effective, heavily spun kick serves used like tactical weapons. She can drag opponents completely off courts, particularly on ad sides, opening massive gaping angles for first strike forehands, serves designed to establish dominance. Pegula, statistically among the world's absolute best returners, a player who breaks serve for a living, will look to punish any second serves landing short of service lines. This is where Pegula's audacity shines. She'll step inside baselines on returns, sometimes feet inside, taking balls impossibly early, aiming flat returns directly at servers' feet, cramping Swiatek for space and time. If Swiatek's first serve percentage drops below 60%, Pegula will feast, turning service games into nightmares. Conversely, Pegula's own serve has historically been her game's most vulnerable component. Solid and reliable but lacking overwhelming free point-generating power of Rybakina or Sabalenka, Pegula must rely heavily on placement and disguise, slicing balls wide to Swiatek's forehand, then immediately driving next shots deep into opposite corners, keeping Swiatek off balance. If Pegula misses first serves, alarm bells ring. Swiatek will step in, take massive confident swings, immediately putting Americans in defensive strangleholds, from which escape is nearly impossible. Consider deeply the psychological warfare occurring in locker rooms at this very moment. Swiatek isn't listening to music. She's conducting hyper-focused, intense dynamic warm-ups, headphones on but nothing playing, signaling the world don't approach. She's in her zone, visualizing court geometry, feeling clay grit under feet, reminding herself of 4 Grand Slam Paris titles, her absolute surface mastery. She knows today's victory isn't just about advancing to semifinals, it's sending terrifying, undeniable messages to the world that queens remain on thrones regardless of seeding. She wants to crush American hope. She wants this to be a statement. Just down the hall, Jessica Pegula sits quietly, examining tactical notes on tablets, completely unbothered by noise, distant crowd roars, or reputations of opponents she's about to face. She's checking data, confirming patterns. She knows mathematics. She knows that executing flat, deep ground strokes at over 70% success rates, refusing to surrender baselines, and staying emotionally detached from inevitable momentum swings, she can completely dismantle Polish machines. Pegula isn't playing for messages, she's playing for titles. She's playing to finally definitively break through glass ceilings that have prevented her from holding the sport's biggest trophies. She's 28 years old, a veteran operating at absolute peaks of intellectual and physical tennis capabilities. And she knows with quiet, profound clarity that being remembered as legends requires slaying legends on their favorite stages. This is her moment. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This quarterfinal isn't just tennis. It's an absolute masterclass in tactical discipline versus raw, explosive topspin power. It's a referendum on clay court victory methods. It's Pegula's immovable consistency meeting Swiatek's unstoppable clay dominance. Rome crowds buzz with frenetic, nervous, electric energy, understanding the gravity of what they're witnessing. Knowing this isn't ordinary, this match's winner won't just advance, they'll instantly become overwhelming favorites to lift trophies at week's end. And more importantly, will carry massive, terrifying psychological momentum directly into Roland Garros gates. Groundskeepers have swept white lines one final time. Red clay is immaculate, perfect canvases for coming violence. Umpires have climbed into chairs and called time. Players walk out of tunnels emerging from darkness into glaring, unforgiving Roman sun. 4th seed and 5th seed, Dirt Master and Ultimate Problem Solver. Queen and Challenger, lock doors, turn up volume, settle in, because battles for clay season souls are beginning. And it's going to be breathtaking, brutal, and absolutely unforgettable. Wars of attrition. First balls are airborne. Let chess matches commence.